Maybe before moving on, I'll just ask each one of you to make a short bio for yourselves and your work to give us a bit more context. Maybe ladies first, Salomé.
Yeah, after 10 push-ups, I think I can do it. I'm warmed up. So, yeah, my name is Salomé. As you already said, I'm a biomedical engineer by training. I love sports, as you can imagine. I don't do push-ups, actually. That's the worst exercise that you can do. But I used to play different sports from basketball, although I only have 1.50 meters, but yes. And then, basically, with some friends, we decided to create a new way to practice sports, and that's how Dot Moves came up. And we joined that with artificial intelligence and blockchain to create a game economy to incentivize physical activity. So basically that.
Okay, very much. Diogo.
So hello everyone, thank you so much for staying this late and listening to all the panel discussion, all the round tables and all the solo presentations. I am Diogo, as you can see on the board. I'm the product evangelist of Kudu. My background goes into having a degree in marketing, also being a model for 5 years for winning a TV contest, but that was 20 kilos ago. And I represent a gaming platform that is focused on onboarding good Web2 games that unfortunately they don't have the attention that they deserve, and we see Web3 as an alternative for them to reach new audiences and kind of revamp themselves, which goes real in line with the topic of ownership and actually getting a new life for the game and making the people and the players own something within the game and even outside the game.
Okay, very well. Ben, you've done a long trip from Macau, just jet lagging, so...
Thank you so much. Thanks for the invitations. My name is Bin Hu. I come from the Macau University Science and Technology, faculty of the Humanity and Arts. So I done my PhD, Doctor of Philosophy in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. It's Queensland University of Technology and Creative Industry Design. So my research is focused on the user experience design, emotional design, especially focused on the empathic design. Yeah, how could we improve the users, their behaviors, their emotions, motivations, this stuff. And also I done my master degree at Griffith University, also in Brisbane, Queensland. And so basically English is my second language. Feel a little bit nervous, and just because of that, we just arrived very late last night. So yeah, hope I can, very join this hours. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ben. No worries, you're among friends, and I'll try not to bother you much. I know we have great relationships with China too, and Macau, especially being a Portuguese ex-colony. So the topic today, as you can see, is the ownership players should have in a game. Myself leading a gaming company more on a traditional side for PC and consoles, quite interested on this because my first feeling is I don't want them to have any ownership. I want them to keep me paying frequently. So Salomé, I'm sorry, I'm starting again with you. Dot Moves is working on this topic. What actually are you doing, and how are you enabling players to own their own digital assets?
Yeah, so, to not talk with very Web3 terms and make people afraid about it, but basically it's two types of assets. One are tokens, what we call credits in real life, as anyone can use in a game app, and the other are what we call in Web3 NFTs, but in real life it would be like equipment, sports equipment that players can use to play. So we create basically an analogy between the real life and the digital world, where in real life you buy your sneakers and you buy a ball and you are playing. And while you are becoming a professional, you have that image of a ball that you use to make the great score or to play a certain game. Or those sneakers that look really bad and your mother wants to put them in the garbage, but you don't want to get them because they made you win so many games. Based on that, we were inspired to use NFTs to create the same analogy inside the digital game. So players have sneakers, have balls, and with these digital assets in the game, they start playing and competing against different other players and creating memories around these game assets. The NFT one, so the sports equipment have as levels, and as you progress and you become more professional player, the game asset evolves. And the best part in this is that actually you can, and the ownership part of this is that the players can use these NFTs and sell them in an outside market. So actually they become valuable. The idea, if everything goes really well for us on Dot Moves, we are thinking about young players that will become one day famous, like Cristiano Ronaldo, and they will have their NFTs sold in an outer market, as we see already with the physical equipment. With the token, is that with these credits, people, anyone that plays, that was any kind of exercise, is motivated to trade these tokens into the real world. That's me? Okay. Sorry. Into the real world to go, like, to buy tickets to the cinema or to the theater or to the restaurant. So it's like a game economy, making them being incentivized to go out and trade for real assets.
Okay, very good. Diogo, I know Blockbusters is also trying to enable this interoperability using NFT technology. How's it going? What's the plan? What do you have to say about this?
It's true, it's true. Yeah, we believe that what we see nowadays is like an empty promise of ownership. We saw a lot of games promising ownership, but the actual ownership relies on their game itself. So although you have a line on the blockchain saying that that asset is yours, in that at the end of the day, if the game stops developing or the game goes bankrupt or wherever for some reason stops working, your asset is the same way as a normal Web2 asset. You cannot use it elsewhere. And what we are doing this is kind of changing. It's a little bit ambitious because since we have a gaming platform already working with fungible tokens, so we have our own credit system that goes around all the games that are on our platform, currently 44 from developers all around the world. We want to also use that as a bridge to also have interoperable gaming assets using NFT technology. And what we do is, just to give you some context, the way an indie game can join our platform is simply by drag and dropping our SDK that can convert a Web2 game into Web3. And since all games on our platform are having this SDK, we want to be possible to not only go for have an interoperable token, but also have an interoperable non-fungible token. So let's say, imagine you like to play, and I'm sure some one of you already know that you like Counter-Strike or Team Fortress or another FPS game, and you love a specific weapon, or you think that you could create your own weapon. This will be possible since all games will be using the same SDK, and it is already interoperable, the fungible token. We want the asset itself, it will be written on the blockchain to also be interoperable. Not only the appearance of that asset, like the appearance of the weapon, like a skin, but actual attributes of the weapon. I'm talking about fire damage, fire rate, even the weight and the recoil of the weapon. So this is our premise. This is what we have been working on the NFT space to also promote actual ownership and not only ownership on the game in one game in specific. And this is all done through a tool that we are also giving to the players, because I think it would be awesome, and I loved when I was younger to have that, is for me to be able to create my own weapon, design it, customize it how I want it, and see it in real life on the games that I'm already playing it. So this is what we are been working right now.
Okay, thank you very much. You're talking about real life, now moving a bit more for the utility beyond the collectibles themselves. I know, Salomé, that Dot Moves is working on that, on bringing NFTs to real-world utility, and you're organizing tournaments or something? What are your strategies for that?
Yeah, so like we figure out that just like having the NFT as a collectible that evolves throughout games was not enough to help us create stories behind. So we came up with a new feature, which is tournaments, so multiplayer challenges that they can use the NFT as a ticket to the tournament. So we added a new utility layer to the NFT, working not only as a collective but also as an access to exclusive challenges and tournaments based on that. And depending on the ticket that you have, you are going to have rewards also that are proportional related to the value of your ticket. So that's another one. And for the token, we also added another utility more recently that it's, this is in a demo, still in beta testing, but it's basically we are going to add the utility to the token for the audience to check it out. So imagine that you two are playing against each other. Me as a fan, I watch the battle and I can donate our token to the player that I like the most. And then the highest donator will be getting more rewards because it's contributing for the whole community. So we are still exploring different utility layers, and these are the new two ones that we are adding on it. So let's see.
Okay, it sounds very interesting. Do you have any kind of metrics, or what's the feedback that your players have been given? Or so?
Yeah, people really like, because most of our community, I was listening to a talk before about creating a community. The Web3 community is not very healthy and sports active, so they like more to watch than to do. So the reaction was amazing because they can use the app, they can use the token, but they don't need to practice sports or become like professional players. So they can watch and participate. It's a mix like TikTok is doing with the dances and something. So it's
okay.
good.
Just keeping with you, Diogo, before bringing Ben to this conversation, you're talking backstage, and I wrote this down. You said like, simply being written on a blockchain is not enough to achieve true ownership. So this keeps resonating on my head. Can you go a bit further on that?
Sure. So I'm a gamer. I've been playing games since I was like 5 years old, playing like Prince of Persia with my diskette on the computer. And what I felt is you will always feel like you own the assets even if you don't actually own them on the blockchain. And what it is promising and what I don't like on not the current state but the previous state with the NFT frenzy, like the promise of ownership was only for the premise that you're going to sell it. And I believe that ownership should be more like I have something that I can use it. So it's something that has value, not to sell, but it has value for me. And on the gaming industry, there's of course items that you are sold, even if they are not on the blockchain. We see with World of Warcraft, there was a lot of alternative markets where you mine gold on the game itself and then you sell it on the alternative market. And we see this with Saya skins, or where people go sell those weapon skins on the alternative market. So that already happened, but we could use what's best with NFTs. So we can actually have a layer that the users don't need to know that it is NFTs and NFT technology. They just want to have the use of it. So I believe that if it is done right, they will interact with NFT and have that ownership of that item and actually use it within all the games and not having the need to sell it on the marketplace to actually be viable. This is my opinion.
Okay. Salomé, want to add something?
No,
on
it's
this
more
topic?
like an identity that you create, like a game identity that you can go around the different platforms and use that identity as a way to get in. No?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have your own asset that we are more into weapons right now, so I'm using that as an example. I would prefer, and it was really cool for me to have different environments from different games and use the same weapon that behaves in a similar way from games to games. It can be a 3D game with a low poly kind of style, and then we can go to a realistic game. Of course, this has some challenge going from one game to another, especially with balance and so on. That's why, and I actually invite you, if you are curious about this, you can even check out our tool. You can talk with me afterwards, I can show you a little bit more. But we wanted to not be as intrusive for the game developers that are using our system, but also to open up a new way for decentralized game design. Game developers will not only develop or create the weapons that are on their game, but will also need to know that, okay, I need to have a field that players will be able to onboard whatever they want, of course, under certain parameters, and use it in-game. And how can I make that a fun experience and not a frustrating experience for all the users that are already in? And this also can be used on other gaming assets, like cars, for example. There's a lot of car games. I see a lot of potential in it. It's already in our plans to be the second category of interoperable gaming assets. But it's like you create your own identity, as Salomé was saying. You use them. It's something that people will see your username on all the different games, and you'll know that you have that weapon. So you can even sell that if you want it, but that's not the ideal scenario how you want the NFT technology to be used in terms of ownership in-game.
Okay, very good. We've been centering this talk on more, for obvious reasons, on the more economic and NFT and technology part, but I want to bring over Bin. Because ownership, there are several levels of ownership in game design. Narrative ownership, game progression ownership, and Bin has, your research field is much centered on human-computer interactions, on gaming. Can you develop a bit more on what you've been doing and how you view this kind of ownerships?
Yeah, sure. I saw for the level of the ownership, players, they should have the game can have, they can vary significantly. It depends on the types of the games. But I want to we want to talk about in the content creations. Some of the games, particularly in some of the multiplayer online games, and allow our players to create their own contents, such as maps, missions, their game assets. So this level of the ownerships can greatly enhance their game engagement and the investment in the games. As players, we always do contribute to the game's economic systems. I want to take one example of my, it's not my game, but a really interesting game is, just recently, 3 months ago, one of the Chinese game companies called Game Science, they just released the Black Space. Wukong. So this game has significantly have some attentions and the anticipations within the gaming community. So it's largely due to its impressive game design elements. So I thought why this game can be called a success and really popular among the young people, especially in the Chinese community in China. For my as far as I know, I thought the rich cultural foundations. This is one I want to talk because this game is based on the classic of the Chinese novel Journey to the West. The three people just try to protect their masters to get some in the West, which is very rich in my mythological characters and stories. So it also provided a deep narrative foundations. That can be integrated, both those familiar with and new to the tales, Sun Wukong. So this is very important. Besides that, I also want to see the narrative depth is because the character narrative depth is really important. For example, Sun Wukong, the game player, which is the character with the complex personality and the background, is well executed character developed can lead a strong emotional connections with players. So that's this storytelling is really also really interesting. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, Wukong is a great example. I've played it in terms of narrative. It took me a while to understand the story, the backstory, and the intricacies that connect with the Chinese culture. This is a good example of how you can try to make something more sustainable. For instance, now moving back to Salomé and Diogo, how can we make this midterm sustainability for this interoperability? It's like community development. What do you envision for the future?
So I can say first. So I think we need to onboard this new technology of ownership, but we cannot use it as a gatekeep for normal players. So what I'm saying is this: even if you have a good enough game that uses Web3 technology that promotes ownership, if you are going to have a higher entry barrier where you're going to splash like take this seed phrase, save it, it is important for you. No player will do it. At least no traditional player will do it if you're not familiar with Web3 technology. And just see it like this. If I give to my parents, okay, try out this game. And the first thing they ask is, insert your wallet. You need to have your seed phrase here, save this, and whatsoever. They're not going to play it. They probably just want to pick a game and play it within 2 or 3 minutes right after downloading it. More than that, we'll just lose the interest. And we see in terms of retention rate, and people at the time that most games have played after being downloaded. Most games, even myself, I download a game, I play it for 30 seconds. If it doesn't catch my attention the first 30 seconds, I'm gonna just remove it and download a new one. And this is how it is. If you don't catch attention of the players right away, you are not going to do this. And if we continue to having this big barrier of creating a wallet right away, we are never going to reach major adoption. So I believe it should be a mix. Like, you can still have Web3 features on the game, but you cannot gatekeep it right up at the start. You should be able to give the player the experience of playing, receiving those tokens for their player time or for completing whatever, it depends on the game itself, and use it in-game. And as he's learning, he's going to say, oh, okay, what actually is this? What can I do with this? It's like the same question that people said in the beginning, I think it was this morning, like the best way for you to get into is to put 10 euros. But in gaming, the best way for you to get into it is to play at least for 5 minutes. It's the same thing, but on the different area. It's the same area, but gaming is a little bit tricky because there's like too much polarized. And if you went to gaming communities, especially with the NFT hype and how most projects went to zero and what was the empty promise back then, it has really a bad connotation, although the technology is good. So even something that was also said today, it's not the problem with the technology, is how they use it. And I definitely believe in that. So as long as we try to onboard normal gamers to an actual good and fun, interesting gaming project, and then give them the opportunity, if they want or not, to add their keys, to use it elsewhere, it's totally up to them. But if we force them to do it right away, no one's going to do it.
I think I can add with a very bad example, because we did that since the beginning. We started doing that. So like our idea was to show the world that we are creating this amazing game economy to promote physical activity. So the first thing that we did to our users was to ask them their wallet. You can imagine that most of the people that were not Web3 natives didn't understand what was a wallet. They thought that was their fiat wallet, so credit accounts and something like that. It was a huge mistake. Then we launched a second MVP that they didn't need to put the wallet, but even though there was we were using token as a word throughout the app, so you'll get tokens for every exercise that you will do. And the people don't know what is tokens. Tokens is not even a nice word to say it to normal people. People don't say tokens all the time. So I think also in this morning we discussed this. In order to make Web3 adopted, or for the 1 million users that they were talking in the morning, in my opinion, is to actually not talk about Web3 with people. So it's just, the technology must not be the first thing that people do. The people want to use .move's app because they want to do physical activity in a normal way, in a frequent way, but they are not willing to. So they believe that we are going to help them in changing their routines and making them more motivated. And we now, .moves on our side, like our development team, must use the state-of-art technology to provide that to them, because giving rewards to people must follow several rules concerning regulatory and stuff, and blockchain can help on that. But the normal person that does 10 push-ups doesn't need to know that he requires a wallet to do it or something.
Yeah, I was now thinking about that and what you've been saying. Currently, and this is we're moving a bit more to talk about the risks and other hurdles and challenges, specifically regulations and security. For instance, nowadays you see a lot of young kids, they play RPGs, they develop their characters, and then they sell their account to a completely unknown guy for a couple of euros. And you see a lot of this also happening, but for the bad reasons.
Yep.
I don't mean about pedophiles or something, but even money laundering, and blockchain can actually play a big role on that and trying to cope with that problem, isn't it?
Yeah, like I can go also from, we are trying to reach young kids, like under 18, right? So, but not like allowing them to think about this game economy as a way to save money when they are 18, that they use it, so they get these rewards and they start thinking about saving, and that's one of the problems that we have to manage, because in order a person less than 16 cannot create a wallet, and in Portugal we don't even know a lot about what we can do or not in the crypto space. So for us it's still a very gray area on how we can impose or operationalize several of our ideas concerning that and protecting the users. I don't know.
Yeah. Diogo, you want to add something?
Again, there's not much to add. I think I agree with it. It's still a gray area, but of course with Mika and stuff, we are getting a lot more support on it. So I see it with good eyes. Of course, every regulation brings trust, and especially in gaming and how it is seen on the gaming communities. I think that it is really good that we are starting to have these regulations and to make sure that we can provide, and that's not going to be other games that are going to be scams or are going to be trying to do other things that do not promote the good name of NFT technology or Web3 in general. So once we start having more good projects, even though they are going to have a little bit more, how would I say, it's not going to be pushed back, but it's going to only push back in terms of development-wise, because we need to adapt with the new rules. But other than that, I see it with good eyes. As long as you are doing something good and something that it has actual meaning for ownership, and not only you're gonna buy this and probably you're gonna sell this or gonna get rich quick, I think you should not be afraid of regulations and just continue doing something great. And slow and steady, you're going to see something that you put your sweat and tears into it and see that is getting adoption. And I think that's, at least for me, it's the best feeling ever.
Okay, very good. I'm looking at this bomb timer that we have here, and like we have 2 minutes before it blows up. So maybe I'll just want to bring back Ben again, since he made such a long trip. And we were talking about regulation, and we know how tough it can be to enter the Chinese market because it's very strict. Publishers and game developers often define a game and then try to enter China and get like revised, and it took like 1 year, and then they come back with the to rescript, they write again the game itself, which is a big hurdle. So people like end up going through VPNs and other stuff to counter that. Do you believe that will kind of ease down, or what's the future prospect on the gaming scene on China?
As far as I know, I thought, recently we are trying to create our own games, especially for my PhD student and my master student. They are trying to do their best to create their personal and their group works for the game. But, probably 10 years ago or 20 years ago, we can't do that because, in the Asian market, most of the games created by the Japanese game players and game designers and some of the scientific, most of the Japanese, their game teams really famous, like Konami, Namco, so this stuff. And at that time, I thought probably 20 years ago, most of the Chinese, we have the very fantastic game players, but we don't have the game designers. So we usually to imitate their Japanese style. We usually to imitate, to monk up. I mean, imitate their actions and their, game stories. But we don't have the Chinese own style. So, but during recent years, with the Chinese policy and with the Chinese government, their support, this all changed. Yeah. So even in my university, we set this course, we set the unit. It's called the Master of the Digital Design, Master of the Interaction Design in the game design directions. It's quite popular, and most of the young people, they prefer to enroll our class. Yeah, and we also taught our students to use the Unreal Engine and the Unity and to create our basic games. And most of the young talented people, they have their own ideas. They know how to give some of the attractions to their game players, and so basically we are still learning on the road. Yeah.
Yeah, it's changing.